more minutes to see if anyone else can join, and then we'll get started. But in the meantime, how's the where? Can you guys remind me where you're located and how the weather is where you're at? And Jose, if you're talking, you're muted. Noise. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm located in Noida, that's in India, and the weather is actually a bit hot here right now.
How hot is that?
I would say a 40 degree, 40 degrees. Yeah, but this is around evening time, so now it's cooled down.
Okay, good, good. Very good. Jose or Riel, we're just kind of saying where we're from and what the weather's like.
Hello, you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Real Labrie from Montreal. It's pretty cold here, say around 8 degrees Celsius, so it's supposed to be more hot than that, but it's cold these days.
Sure, sure. Well, hopefully I mean, summer around the corner, right? So I'm sure it'll warm up. Jose?
Okay. It's very.
We hear you.
I prefer writing it down because it's very strange. Just a minute.
Okay. I know sometimes on calls like this, I'll like hear my own voice coming through. Actually, we do have a separate speaker. I can try changing our speaker settings. See if that's the problem here. Let's try using those. All right, if anybody can hear me, does that sound any better or worse?
That's actually quite worse now. It's quite loud.
Right.
And
I'll go back. That's good. That's good feedback. It sounds worse on this end too. Yeah, you hear yourself over and over again. Maybe let me try the output as just this other speaker. We'll try that. Can you guys hear me okay still?
I think that is enough.
I'm kicking here, kind of, sort of. Well, we'll do the best we can. That's the challenge with this kind of technology, is it sometimes doesn't work, and the echo keeps going. Oh, okay. So let me just change the setting one more time. All right. How about now? Is it any better in terms of my echoing?
Your mouth and your voice goes at the same time now. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, great. We'll count that as success. Seems better, says Ankit. Great.
Yeah.
All right, and then Jima, I see that you just joined. We're just getting started. You want to share anything about what the weather's like where you are? Can you hear me, Jima? Looks like he might have a slow internet connection. I see his video is kind of frozen there.
Yeah.
Well, Jima, if you hear me and you can't interrupt, feel free to do so. We're just getting started here. In fact, I think actually we'll go ahead and get started more formally. I just wanted to say hi and thanks again for coming to this now second Community TA Advisory Committee. I believe that everybody was here last time, so it's great to have some repeats coming back for more than one time. We didn't scare you away the first time, so that's good. Just to mention, of course, you guys all know Christina. She's been working with you guys since the very beginning, for those who have been with us since the beginning. And also joined by Katie Woodruff. You've probably seen her in the forum some.
You might have seen me. I'm University of Illinois support number 4. So you're probably more likely to see me as that in the forums, but I'm an instructional designer here at Illinois.
And she's specifically going to be taking on a little bit more of the responsibility with working with our community managers, such as Christina and 2 other folks that Christina introduced you to recently, Angelica and Tyler. So now we have 3 community managers. Katie's working with all 3 of them to just make sure everything's kind of working smoothly and whatnot. Also, some sad news is that Christina, for this summer anyway, is going to be taking an internship somewhere else. And so for the next 3 months or so, we won't have Christina around, but we're very eagerly looking forward to having her back in the fall.
I'll be back.
Yeah. So for the most part, over the next couple of months, just so you know, if you're still using the MOOC support email address, that's continuously monitored by Christina up until today, tomorrow, and then also Tyler and Angelica, the 2 new folks that aren't here right now, but that Christina introduced you to. So continue to use that email address. We'll continue to get back to you quickly. It's been very helpful, I know, in some of the computer science MOOCs that we're running right now to get your guys' feedback and to hear you kind of bring to our attention some of the issues that have been going on there. And I say the computer science MOOCs because they are the ones that have been a little bit more problematic in terms of some of the quiz questions or some of the questions about how the course is running and so forth. So your guys' feedback on those courses has been extremely helpful and much appreciated. So, so any questions from anybody before we get started with where we were on the agenda? Sure. What we're going to do is actually pick up where we left off. So Jose, if you find something, feel free to just type it in, and we'll take a look at the chat. So where we left off last time was, and I want to follow up on it a little bit, is talking about on-demand. We talked a lot about how Coursera is suggesting and making available to us the on-demand platform. I think almost all of you, maybe all of you, had some personal experience with the on-demand platform. And some of you had some very negative feedback about it, and actually that was very, very much appreciated. What we've done, just so you know, is based on your feedback and some feedback from these guys, compiled a very lengthy document that we sent to Coursera itemizing basically everything that is currently wrong with on-demand as we would all see that. Just so you know, we're having a meeting with Coursera to talk about your concerns and our concerns with on-demand this Friday. And so hopefully even as soon as the end of this week, we'll know more about the direction that on-demand is going. But specifically, we shared with them a Google Doc of all of the items, and one nice thing about Google Docs is Coursera is able to and has been putting a comment on each of the bullet points as they've been replying to them with some feedback. So for example, they have already added the feature of searching the forums and being able to see how many posts people have and so forth. I think they're promising the ability to search for your own posts is coming up soon. I forget what
you can now, I think, click on a picture and see everybody's profile and their posts.
Okay, great.
I think.
So some of those features that we have learned to rely on in the session-based platform are actually becoming available in on-demand even before we've had this meeting. I see that Panjana has joined us. Hi.
Hi. Yes, I have joined just now.
Wonderful. Great. We're just getting going with the beginning of the meeting, so just to kind of catch you up to say that the main point was you guys provided us with a lot of feedback about on-demand. Some of it was negative. And we have some feedback about on-demand, and we brought that to Coursera as a 3-page long list of concerns, and they are working with us now to resolve some of those issues. And we'll actually have a meeting on Friday where we'll talk about it in more detail. All right, great. And Dipanjana, I'm going to go ahead and mute your microphone. There's some background noise that's coming through, but obviously if you want to say anything, just feel free to unmute your microphone and hop in. That's not a problem.
Hello?
Yeah.
I would like to just mention one thing is, you know, there are like two very different ways, the on-demand and the virtual class. And both are had some advantages and disadvantages, and it's really hard to combine both. I don't see how it's possible. But also, there is a kind of personal choice. Some people might prefer one way, the other another way, and also myself I found it's depend also about the subject. But what I want to say also, it's whoops, lost my mind, sorry. Just a second. Okay, okay. I will come back later on, sorry.
Okay. Yep, no problem, no problem. So hopefully, and with regards to like some of those issues, again, Coursera is talking with us and helping us. I think they're kind of looking to us at Illinois and through us, you know, your experiences as well, on how to make on-demand successful for the greatest number of students. And I think you're absolutely right, Real, that sometimes a student needs a paced environment, and sometimes they need the flexibility to go at it at their own speed. And I think there are ways that we're talking with them about how we might be able to do that.
Experiment now.
Okay, you want to talk about that?
Yes. Coursera just started an experiment. We just got an announcement morning where at the beginning of the course, when a learner enrolls, they can commit to a schedule of deadlines. And they won't actually be hard deadlines where if they miss one, they're penalized, but it will give them feedback, reminders, I believe. I don't know exactly how it works yet, but it looks like people will be able to opt in to having a schedule of deadlines if they want to work through the course in a paced way.
Yeah, I remember that I suggested something similar in the other CAC meeting. I think that there's maybe too much negative feedback about the on-demand courses, and I think that it's because most of us are accustomed to attend the traditional courses. So maybe the silent or the lurkers, the silent students who maybe like more the on-demand courses just don't give feedback, and maybe that's why we don't listen to positive feedback about the on-demand courses. But besides what I think it's that we have here an opportunity to join the best of both worlds, because I agree that we have some how can I say this, we have like someone pushing us when we have deadlines. That's completely true, but if we design some strategies to implement something similar into our on-demand course, maybe students who are more comfortable with the on-demand courses can just have this opportunity with Coursera, and those who are accustomed to the other platform can do something similar here. So maybe if Coursera has taken this decision, it's not something arbitrary. I think that it's because they have studied a lot figures about how students attend courses, and I don't think that this is a quick decision.
Sure.
So what I think it's okay. We have to provide this negative feedback to let them know what it works with the traditional courses. But once the decision has been taken, we should try to think new strategies and and you know, how could we make this new platform work better and see this like an evolution. So if there's no change, there's no evolution. So that's my point of view.
And I agree with you completely, and I think that's what we're trying to do. I may have overrepresented the negative feedback part as not so much a here's what we think is wrong and why we think we should go back, but rather here's what we think is wrong and what needs we have that are not yet met and how we can work together to move ahead on making on-demand a success. Because I think you're right. I mean, I first heard about on-demand in June or July of last year, and that was certainly in its infancy as a concept at Coursera. They hadn't actually built a platform that was usable. So certainly for the last almost year, they've been seeing this as a solution to certain problems. How do you get students in there and not penalize them for missing a deadline or letting them start when they want so they don't have to wait 6 months or whatever the case may be. So they saw it as a solution to some major problems, but certainly introduced other problems, and that's the stage where we're at right now, is solving these other problems. So appreciate your feedback, and I think that the feedback that you all gave us that we've reported on to Coursera is exactly the kind of feedback that we need to do what you're saying, Jose, of help this evolve and become a viable option, not just something that some people are looking at as a bad option. I think in general the concept is right, but now we're at that implementation, how do we make it work stage, and that's what we're working with Coursera to make happen.
So sometimes what I think I try to think what if it has happened the other way around. I mean, if the on-demand courses were the first choice from Coursera, and now they decided to apply this new platform, this new option. Maybe we would be doing the same thing, providing negative feedback for the new platform. So that I talk about this, about the experiment I was trying with the learning hubs. I don't know if you know about it. So here in Seville, I tried an experiment with a bunch of students. So I think that learning hubs can be a good way. I mean, it's not possible everywhere, but it's a good way to have an on-demand course and having something like a coach, facilitators. We can make courses last what they should last in classic courses. And what you just have said about the hard, I mean, I think that it was your partner who said that about the hard deadlines and reminders. I think that it's a very good solution. And one of the I would like to remember the suggestion I did in the other session about the small groups. It would be something like a small forum in which people could talk among them to make them more engaged about the courses. I think that it could be. I don't know if you have sent that feedback to Coursera, and I don't know if what they think about it, but I think that it's worth thinking about it a little more. I think it would be a great idea.
And I agree. I think there's a lot of ideas of how to make this a good fit, and I think that's one of them that's on our list. And actually, I think that's a good segue into some of the other things that we wanted to talk about today, and that is how to make, given as Jose said, that since on-demand will become more and more popular, it's not perfect, there's a lot of things that are broken about it, but since it is going to become more and more popular, what can we change on our end, both from University of Illinois' end and from the way that the community TA program works? What can we change to make it successful? And so one question that we had that we would like to ask you guys is, with the session-based courses, for you to volunteer your time to serve as a community TA was I'll call it like a known entity. Like you knew that the course started on June 1st and it ran through July 21st or something like that. So you knew for the next 8 weeks or 4 weeks that there was something going on that you had volunteered for. And we realized that life happens, and sometimes you might be around for the first few weeks and then maybe can't help out at the end, and that's understandable. But with on-demand, we're trying to think about how to get community TAs involved in on-demand where there is no end to the course. And so one idea that we had, we want to throw that out as a starting point for conversation and see what feedback you guys have, is that we would work with community TAs such as yourself and others to say, okay, maybe you can sign up for a month. Maybe Jose will agree to do the month of June, and maybe life is happening and so he can only do the month of June, but maybe he'll come back again in December or something like that. So we're thinking of what is the ideal length of time that a community TA would volunteer for. Is it 4 weeks? Is it a month? Is it 8 weeks? Or what have you? And then there's also the question of how to recruit new community TAs into the program so that we always have at least a good handful of community TAs, for example, every month of the year. So first question is, any thoughts on how long a community TA could reasonably volunteer to help out with the course? Sanjana?
Yes, my suggestion would be that it can be even shorter period, because it is also difficult to predict for 1 month whether I will be available or not. But it can be made also 2 weeks. Number one. Point number two is, as regards that, yes, there has to be a very large pool of TAs for this particular type of activities. The course I attended from where my journey starts with Coursera, that is the Introduction to Sustainability, there was some kind of reward system, which actually, I can say that, which drew me to this whole entire system. So from my personal experience, I will suggest that if those type of reward points are there, that if you become a TA, then you are going to get this kind of exposure or whatever, whatnot. That might help, because it is, as the course doesn't have any end. What will happen that maybe one person will finish the course, and again, from personal experience, that when you first finish the course, your level of to join as a new TA is much higher, and the rate of attenuation is also very very high. So once a person completes and then he or she becomes a TA for next 2 weeks, that's the way maybe things might work.
Okay. So and correct me if I didn't hear all this right, there were a couple of horns honking in the background, but it sounded like you were saying once the student completes the course, they immediately are qualified to become a community TA, and that we would ask them to serve for a 2-week interval. Did I hear that correctly?
Would you repeat just once? Yes, because my room is at absolutely roadside. That's the problem. It's summertime. I cannot close the windows also. Maybe that is the noise is coming. Would you please repeat what you said right now?
You repeat.
Repeat what I said?
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
that's okay. That's all right. What I think I heard you say was that once a student completes the course, they could become eligible to be a community TA.
Yeah.
We do have that 2-week training, the Illinois Community TA Resource Center, that maybe we would send them through, and then we would ask them to agree to be a community TA for a period of 2 weeks. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, if they can extend, that is fine. That will be, but the minimum period can be 2 weeks, and then we expect that few more people will complete the course, and then they will serve it for the 2 weeks. And one thing should be made very clear, that Coursera, most of the courses still offering, it's on a free. It's not chargeable if I am not going to get a verified certificate. So how I can, I can reciprocate whatever I got from the Coursera? That can be only through service. So this can be also by the TAs, can make the other new students sensitize about this issue, so that they also feel motivated to join as TAs.
Okay. So yeah, as far as the motivation, so I think I think I understand what you're saying. On the motivation side, I did want to just add that we've heard from you that there are certain ways that we can show our appreciation for being a community TA. And one thing that we do now is many of our professors say thank you to the community TAs very publicly in an announcement. And that's something that we're continuing to encourage our professors to do, help them understand the value that you guys bring. Another thing that we're looking into right now, for those who may be interested, not everybody, but for those who would be, right now we have the badges, which, as you've almost certainly seen, the badge is really just a picture, an image file inside of an email that we send to you. What we're looking to do is make that a little bit more formal, a little bit more recognizable, in that if you've heard of Mozilla Open Badges, bottom line is it's a badge system that can prove that you specifically are the one who earned the badge. Right now, to be perfectly honest, the problem with our badge system is if I send an email to you with the badge, you could easily forward it to someone else, change the name, and they'll think that they earned the badge. So it's not very verifiable that Deepanjana specifically received the badge, but this Mozilla Open Badges system would be something that would be verifiable, and it would be something that can integrate with LinkedIn. If you happen to use LinkedIn, you can publish the badge to your LinkedIn profile. So that's another thing we're exploring. We're exploring a lot of other options as well, but the point is, yeah, we certainly appreciate your guys' service, and we want to show that appreciation through things like having meetings such as this one, having badges, if that's helpful, something that you can put more formally in your resume or LinkedIn profile, that sort of thing. But to go back to go ahead.
Yeah, the batch is, very good idea. And the another point most probably I couldn't, communicate to you, that again I am stressing, that one idea should be promoted or facilitated by the existing TAs, that Coursera is offering this for a very valuable knowledge. We are getting a lot of exposure. So in return, we also have to give it back, and that we can do through only giving some voluntary service. So this thing, it can be only during discussion with the new students. The TAs can communicate it to the students, and it can act as a motivational factor.
Okay. So what I hear you're saying is that we maybe should be more proactive, more upfront with students, saying once you complete this course, there's an opportunity for you to be a community TA as a way of giving back, as a way of getting actually more involved in the content in the way that you guys are all familiar with, that we can not sell it per se, but just be more upfront as this is a positive thing for students who qualify to be community TAs. They could actually see that as a motivation to complete the course. I really like that. That's a good point. Any other thoughts about like ideal duration? I know Deepanjana said 2 weeks is a minimum, and I agree that would be a bare minimum. Any other thoughts about like how to schedule community TAs? Is 2 weeks a good time? Is it a month? Do we think that people can even commit to something, or do we just kind of? I'm a little reluctant myself to say, well, whoever signs up, signs up. I feel more confident knowing, oh, we've got 3 community TAs in June, and we've got a shortage in July, so we need to kind of help recruit more people. But in terms of length of service, we had one opinion. Any other opinions?
One question I would like to ask is about now in the current platform, the current system, we CTAs support students. Obviously, in the week they are following the course, but on demand courses, CTAs would have to support students through the whole length of the course. Mm-hmm. That's right. Okay, so I think that now it doesn't depend on the length of the course. If traditionally a course could length 8 weeks, 1 month, maybe it's a very good option. But what it's very important, in my opinion, is to overlap teams. Mm-hmm. So if a team is in June, the other one should be, always. Let's imagine two CTAs in total, but one from the former team and one, so they can have feedback about how things are going. And I think that it's super important, the course, I mean the pre-course for CTAs, that you are I mean the pioneers about this. I think this is very important, not only for Illinois, but for all the other institutions, because when a CTA comes in a course in the traditional way, they can start learning in the first week and design some strategies. But if they step in a course that that all the weeks are available, it can be a bit overwhelming for them. So
sure.
Maybe have feedback, maybe just 1 week. I don't know, but 2 weeks is just great. But maybe the minimum, it would be 1 week before they get enrolled again. And maybe if they had served the CTA role in a certain course in the past, they can keep that step. They can go, okay. But I think that these two things, the overlapping and the pre-course, are essential for this new challenge.
Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying, that whatever the assignment is, if we ask people to commit to a 2-week period or a 4-week period or what have you, that at least one of those weeks overlaps with any outgoing days. I think absolutely important. I agree with that.
Yeah. And have the previous course, the CTA course, previously someone, and another thing that I wanted to say is that I don't know how Illinois do this, but other institutions ask students to become CTAs maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks before a course starts. I think that it could be great that just once a student finish a course, they complete a course, invite them, because they have that momentum that can help them to not only to accept, but to get engaged with a certain course. Because maybe 3 weeks before a course starts, you perfectly remember the course you attended, but maybe you have enrolled in many, so you would love to do it, but you can't. If you are invited just after the course finishes, I think that you can schedule your routine so you can accept it.
So here's how, thank you for that, and to kind of summarize what you're saying and kind of merging together the conversations we've been having so far, here's kind of how I think it might work. It might work that the student at the beginning of the course is made aware of this community TA program, one, so that they know to ask community TAs in the course for help when they need it, and two, as motivation of why they may want to try even extra hard to do well in the course. Then when it comes to the course completion, and I'll tell you, just in terms of practical reality, we may not be able to invite folks to be community TAs immediately. We're probably going to have to batch it. Maybe it's like once a week, once a month, something like that, where we would review the list of folks who completed the course. We, for example, do not get like an immediate notification as soon as Bob Smith completes the course. We can pull that information when we want it, but we don't get it immediately. So perhaps once a month, as an example, we pull the list of who's completed the course, and we look for, and just so you guys know, at least for Illinois, we do not invite everybody who completes the course to be community TAs. We have some additional requirements, for example, that the community TAs, such as yourselves, were active in the forums. What that means exactly maybe changes over time, but you have to both complete the course and be active in the course. And then for many of you, maybe not all of you, but we have been using a application form. So it's not just if you complete the course and you're active in the forums, you're automatically a community TA. No, we do ask you to fill out just a short form. I'll tell you, to be perfectly honest, we have the community TAs do that just to show a little bit of commitment. That it's not just, oh yeah, community TA, great idea, I'm going to sign up and do it, but rather, if you fill out a short form, that shows us that you're willing to commit something. You know, if it's 2 weeks of your time or whatever. So again, once a month, have them fill out that form. And then what we do with the people who fill out that form is we then send them through a 2-week, well, it's approximately 2 weeks. We're going to make an on-demand version of this, but a Community TA Resource Center, that 2 weeks of training on how to be a Community TA. And then once they complete that, then they can start the Community TA process. And again, I think with that 1 week of overlap before the outgoing Community TAs are no longer helping. Of course, if a Community TA wants to help for longer than the time that they signed up for, that's great. But if we can kind of plan around a certain amount of time. 2 variations to that I'll throw in. One is I think it would be great if you guys, the Community TAs, could actually nominate someone who you see as actually being very, very helpful in the forums. Some of you maybe have already done that. I know that we have received unsolicited nominations of, hey, this person would be a great Community TA, and then Christine would reach out to that person and say, hey, so-and-so says you'd be a great Community TA, would you consider filling out this application? So I want to leave the door open for that, for you guys to send in suggestions of who should be Community TAs. And then the other variant I was going to put in there is going back to that training that we have. Right now, again, we have this 2-week training thing. And I'd love to hear, we're going to talk about this more if we have time even today, about how useful or not that was for you. But I think one thing we can do is actually focus more on that. You want to say something? Go ahead. Anjana?
Yeah, before going into the training, just now one idea, I mean, it came to me. That is, you see, there is a very good system of keeping the forum leaders during the course. So, is it possible, 2 things, that you also keep one kind of the type of forum leaders, that these persons are likely to be the CTAs who are doing good in the course as well as who are active in the forum, so that also acts as an a social motivational factor, number 1. And number 2 is that usually we used to maintain an informal in Google Calendar. We usually informally we distribute our what time, what period I am going to be there in the forum. I'm moderating time. Sonal will agree with me that it was prepared by one of our I forgot her name, but she prepared it for us, and we used to fill up that this slot I am going to be available for the course, which helped us a lot. So if this kind of thing is available inbuilt in your system, so that I will come, I will say this is the time slots which I can act as a forum moderator, I can be present in the forum moderation, and then you can find the gaps. And even with that, we can really adjust, because we are in India, Ankit, Sanal, myself, so we can adjust our own times and cover a considerable period of time.
I think both of those are great suggestions. I definitely like the idea of letting students know up front, like, this is what we're looking for in Community TAs, to say, like, if you're active in the forums, that's what we're looking for, in addition to just completing the course. Letting them know what we're looking for, I think, is great. And then as far as like signing people up, I think those are good pieces of feedback. What we still need to do is figure out what that looks like. You mentioned Google Calendar. I also know that Google services are not available in all countries. They're blocked in China, for example. So we'll do something like Google Calendar, but something that we hope would be more accessible to people all around the world. And we'll figure that out, but I appreciate that suggestion that we do something very visual, or so that all of the Community TAs know, here's when people are available, here's what slots are already taken, people who've already volunteered. I think those are good features of this Google Calendar replacement that we need to implement. So I thank you for that feedback. That's great.
What will be difficult, I think, with the on-demand is you have all different kind of students, and I'm thinking more particularly the one which want to do a course really fast, like during a weekend they want to take care of one course, and if they are blocked, they need a quick response from CTE, and it will be really difficult for CTE. It's not like the actual courses, where you have a week, then even a day is not so important. That's one thing which is I found difficult. And I just remember, well, I lost my mind last time, but Jose said it. It was about we are on Coursera because we like, I will say, the way the course are done. So it's really hard for us to
Picture.
first idea to like the on-demand. So we have a lot of negative because we appreciate the way the course was done.
Yep, totally understand that, and to be perfectly honest, we're all in that same boat of we know how to do session-based courses. We've been doing it for several years. We feel like we understand it, and it's comfortable. Now we're in an environment that's different, not necessarily good or bad different, but different, and so it's uncomfortable. And I think you're right. That's where when we're uncomfortable, we're more likely to point out negative things. If I had to guess, in 6 months or so, we will look at this and say, yeah, it was uncomfortable, but now it is comfortable again, and it's hopefully better.
Yeah, I agree to Real that it will be little bit difficult than being a TA for a course with a 8-week schedule and for unlimited time, because as in fact first meeting we have discussed this issue also, and I suggested that with the student it should be always available that he or she is in which week available. I mean, how far he have covered, so that we can, in a query we can say this is really covered in the 5th week. You have to go to the module in the 5th week and also point number one. And point number two is, yes, this is difficult, and this is also a test for the TAs to understand how far really we learned. Because unless and until we have really assimilated the subjects, it won't be possible to, to mentor for a student in 1st week as well as a student in the 7th or 8th week.
And I think that's a good.
It will be a challenge for us also.
It is a good challenge, and I think it actually puts your 2 points together very well. And to go back to what Real was saying too, it may be that we don't have community TAs that monitor the whole course. That may be just too overwhelming, but it may be that community TAs specialize in probably not just 1 week of the course, to be honest, I don't know, but at least like 1 or 2 weeks of the course, that those are the ones that you get to know the most, you're personally most comfortable with, and so you feel most confident in helping others. Good feedback, and we'll think about how best to incorporate that, especially in the challenge of scheduling community TAs. Now it's not just sign up for a course, but it's sign up for a module of the course that lasts for 3 weeks or whatever it might be. So very, very good feedback.
One way which you can help for that is, when in forums we can have forum for each weeks, and then if one dedicated CTA is for a week or another week, it can receive directly the an email notification about the question, and then the CTE doesn't have to look all the time to the forum. You will receive a notification automatically, and then you will be able to answer when it's possible.
Right. And do we have the ability to subscribe to forums yet?
Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ankit.
Yeah, I would like to say some things. One is, I think that the ideal period would be at least 1 month to 2 months, not more than 2 months. That becomes too much and at times too boring also, because it's a process that one does every day or every second day. So one is that. Another thing that I think is to enhance the CTA whole experience for the other person that is the first time CTA. A CTA that is already experienced for at least 1 or 2 sessions can be assigned to him, because as per my experience, my first one was I was totally lost to how to go about it, how to answer, or whether I write something that would be appreciated or something like that. So a CTA can be assigned to him, that you talk to him maybe on a personal Gmail or something. So that can be really helpful. Also, one thing is, because you will be developing those videos now for CTA Resource Center, for on-demand courses, there can be some tips or some way things can be managed. So suppose I subscribe to the forums, I make filter for my Gmail, and then I go and see at things. So that can help a new CTA to get a structured way of doing things, because whole inbox gets filled with things, that becomes a little messy for him also. So that is one thing.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in a moment to say I really, really like that idea for two reasons. One, because none of us are CTAs, right? None of us know the in the day-to-day details of how you organize yourselves. And
Exactly.
the part that I'll bring in here is the Resource Center. Just so you all know, Coursera has expressed a lot of interest in the Resource Center. And we'll all admit it's not perfect. It has its flaws, but what Coursera has seen is that those of you who have used the Resource Center from Illinois have, at least to us, told us that you like it, and if you don't like it, you can be honest with us, and that you have been better equipped to be community TAs. So we're in discussions with them right now about elevating that to something that other universities can use. In fact, I think it was one of you guys that made that suggestion, but Coursera came to the same conclusion on their own. And one thing that I would like to do before elevating that to other institutions is to maybe get one of the 5 or 2 of the 5 of you to record a short 3-minute video, day in the life of a community TA. Here is how I organize myself. I come in every other day, I use a Gmail address, I subscribe to certain forums, whatever the magic is of how you do the work of a community TA. I would love to get some video clips from you guys explaining that we can put into the Resource Center that we can then share with all of Coursera. I think that would be really, really powerful.
A small addition could be how we manage our courses also. Because suppose I make a Google Sheet, I write every week this much has to be the work that has to be done, or this can be submitted later, or hard deadlines or something. That can also help the students, because to be one of the main, I think, secret or the way to successfully complete is be regular in a course. So that organization, that little bit of organization can help students complete it also. So that's a small addition.
Great, great idea. So I can guarantee you right now that we're going to reach back out to you all for whether it's a video, or if you're not comfortable or technically able to create a video, that would be fine, even to get via text kind of these tips and tricks or strategies on how to be an effective community TA, not just the specific techniques or what have you that we include in the Resource Center, but your own ideas as well. We'd love to promote those. All right, so just to move to another topic, we've been thinking about what a community TA can do besides being a community TA in the traditional sense of things, and where this comes up, by the way, is in translation. Now, I don't know that everybody would be comfortable with doing this, and that'd be fine, but as like an optional way of giving back. Not necessarily. Some people, you all are obviously very, very good at monitoring discussion forums, reaching out to individual students, and following up with their needs and so forth, which is great. I'm thinking of the people who want to give back but are not quite at the same place that you all are. We're thinking of opening up 2 other opportunities for that type of person. So they may not be called community TAs, but just to use that term for now, where they could do one of 2 things. One would be to help us do quality control or QC of courses, where they can get into the course early and take the course as if they were a student and give us feedback on what's broken and so forth. And then the other is to contribute to translations, specifically translations of the closed caption files. Of course, that requires that this person be fluent in both English and another language, but that's an area we've seen a large interest in from the students in growing. Coursera has a support system for that, and I think what we would do is simply encourage folks who are either community TAs or not comfortable being in the forums to jump into that program that Coursera has, the Translator Community Program, because that is another area that students are telling us they really, really would like to see more of, is more of these translated captions. So thoughts on either of those 2 options for folks to participate?
Okay, yeah, as you say, Coursera has global translator community. And bon, I think Chinese, Spanish, I think French came third in something like that. But when I look, there are only 2 courses translated this way in French, and few, maybe 15 are on progress, but it's going really, really slow. And that's for the entire community of Coursera. So I think it's because when you look all the guideline and you have page and pages, it's a big job, translator. It looks simple, but to do, particularly in technical courses, it's something which is seem easy, but in fact, a good translation can is it's a good job. It's a okay. Yeah.
And absolutely, and what and before Dipansh and I know you want to talk too, I think what I want to add to that is another way that does not take as much time but would actually be even more helpful than doing all of the translation, which we would never ask any one person to do all of the translation. It might be like one module of the course or something like that. But you hit it on the head when you said the technical terminology, and I know Real, you're in some of the computer science courses. When Coursera works with a third-party company to do translation for them, what they have found the problem with that is these third-party companies, they're companies that do translation. They are not computer scientists. They are not economists. They are not business people. And so they don't know some of the jargon, the very specific language that's used in a field of study. And so one other way that we could have folks like yourself help with translation is not necessarily by translating the whole course, but by taking a vocabulary list. Here's the technical jargon, the technical words that are used in this course in English, and I'm just going to translate those things into French, just those technical words. And then if we gave that list of technical words to a translation company, they could translate the simple words, into from one language to another, and use essentially like your insights into what the technical jargon might be. That could be another option. Any thoughts or feedback about that?
Yeah, listen, I think that is a better idea. And as regards, because if the 2 things has to be there to the translator, that number 1, there should be, he or she should be quite conversant with the domain, the subject, and also both the languages.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it is English to Bengali, and it is environment or climate change or sustainability issues, I am pretty confident that I can do it properly, but not all the subjects.
Sure.
So as you said, that if you ask for me that the typical technical terms, how it should be translated, it would be easier for us to contribute. This is one, but one issue that is true for translation as well as providing service as a CTA. There's many times, even after getting a good grade in the course, we are a bit shaky or we feel less confident that whatever answer I am providing to the student, whether it is correct or not.
Mm-hmm.
And at times we also become a bit conservative. As a student, when I am sharing my opinions and views, I am a free bird. But as a CTA, my responsibility is much higher. So there I always felt a need to interact with either a course manager or the course coordinator, that I just want to know if I answer this question in this line, whether I am doing a right thing or wrong. That assurance, if it can be arranged, it would be great.
I think that's a very, very good concern, and what I like about that is that you're, I don't want to say it's a good thing that you're worrying about it, but it's a good thing that you are taking it so seriously that you do want to do the right thing, and I very, very much appreciate that, as opposed to someone who just says, I'm a CTA, I can say whatever I want to say, right? I mean, you're not taking that approach, and I appreciate that. I would say as a short-term answer, you could always post things in the staff forum for other community TAs to see, saying, here's my proposed response, get feedback that way. You know, folks like Christina or Katie or myself, you know, we won't know the subject matter for all of these courses the way that even you do. So we would want to get a faculty member or staff member from Illinois who does know that area to look at it. Sometimes we can't do that quickly, just to be perfectly honest. Sometimes it takes a few days to get that kind of feedback. So at least for now, the way in which you guys can help each other kind of double check things. It's a lot easier to say, oh yes, that's correct, than to actually write out an answer. So if you've kind of proposed an answer that you want to respond with and have other community TAs say, oh yeah, that's right, I think that may be helpful. But yeah, that's a very good point and something that we should continue to think about. I appreciate that. So today we talked a lot about the community TA program, if you will, like the things that we at Illinois are trying to do to help you to be better community TAs, to recognize or motivate you as community TAs, and how we can get more community TAs involved, you know, such as through signing up, especially in the on-demand platform that changes things a little bit. I've learned a lot just from talking with you today about all of those issues. What I'd like to do is, not here right now while we're together, but in the next few days or in a couple weeks, have Katie email you all back again and set up another one of these meetings. I know I hope they're helpful for you. All of you were there last time, so I'm hoping it is at least somewhat helpful. But I know I've greatly appreciated hearing from you the questions and the feedback that you have. I'd love to do it again, maybe on a once-a-month basis. That's about where we are so far. And just to kind of give you an appetite for what we might talk about next time, we are, as I mentioned already, looking at that Community TA Resource Center because Coursera would like to elevate it up to be something we can share with all institutions. And so between now and a month from now, what we're going to do, actually we have a meeting this afternoon to talk about this, is talk about what we would like to see changed or improved about the current Community TA Resource Center. And so I think we'll send out an email here soon saying, you know, what are your guys' ideas and suggestions so we can take that into account. And then in about a month, maybe we'll have a few ideas drafted up, things that we've kind of consolidated everybody's suggestions. Maybe we've started producing some of the new content, and I'd like to be able to share with you in approximately a month where we stand, so that we can get some early feedback from you before we finish out the rest of that process. So just to give you an appetite of what we might talk about next month, of course, if there are other burning issues that come to your mind that you'd like to talk about, feel free to put that in the thread in the Community TA Resource Center. We'll create a new thread for the next meeting, try to keep the conversation organized. But you're welcome to suggest topics. We don't have time in a limited 1 hour to talk about everything, but I know that just in the last few days, hearing some of your feedback about on-demand and what the concerns are, what certain solutions are, I felt that it's a great way that we can still hear from you even outside of this 1 hour that we have together. So I'd like to continue that. If you have any objections, then you just don't have to participate. This is completely voluntary, but I very much appreciate getting feedback, and I'd like to find more ways to get feedback from you guys. Like I said, even having you guys create a 3-minute lecture video on how to be a community TA, I think that's another example of where we can try to get more feedback from you and share that feedback with others. So, go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, just one thing. It's just a suggestion, but I would like to ask something first. Is there a staff forum in on-demand courses?
Yes.
Right now. Okay. So what I want.
Different. It's called the Mentor Forum, but it's
yeah. Okay. You know, Christina knows that lately I'm more interested in serving as a head CTA. I don't like that title. I have always liked more the mentor, but they stole from me the mentor name. So now, but So I'm more interested in coaching CTAs than coaching students, because I think that I can help more, and you know, my experience helping students can help CTAs, and so it all grows exponentially. So have you thought about that in the mentor forums, in the new platform? Because I'm very interested in that role.
Yeah, I think even before we moved, or are in the process of moving to on-demand, even in the existing session-based system, you'll see in the Community TA Resource Center we make a mention to a Community TA mentor. Yes, like you, we have to figure out a new name for that now, but we definitely think of the 5 of you specifically as those who can mentor other community TAs. And I think that is part of what we're going to put our brains together over this next month to think about, not just how to improve the lecture content in the Resource Center, but how to enable the 5 of you and others like you who have a lot of experience with being a community TA, how to enable you to mentor other new community TAs. That notion of having that overlap week, I think, is a part of that. I think that we can leverage that as far as this goes. But I think that it is very important. I'm glad you bring that up, and we're certainly thinking about that.
Yeah, maybe we can serve this role not just for 1 month, because we will be currently I'm monitoring CTAs, the design course. I'm head CTA of the design course, and so monitoring them is not as hard as monitoring all forums. So maybe we can stay for longer, or we can, you know, monitor more than 1 course. I think that it can be a good thing, because, you know, it's. But I didn't know if we were going to do that in the resource center, which maybe is not the best idea, because, you know, asking questions from several courses is not the best thing. Right. So I think this the mentor forum, I have to accustom to that expression. It would be the best thing.
Yeah.
So so great. If you are thinking about this,
we're thinking about it, and don't have a definitive answer yet, but I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that's something we're going to think about a lot.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying a lot being head CTA in this time in the design course from Pennsylvania, and I have very less time than in other sessions, but, you know, being a head CTA requires less time. So I'm sure that I'm helping a lot, but in another way. So I think it's great.
Great, well, I appreciate that. Well, I want to thank you guys all for making time out of your schedules, whether it's morning, noon, or night for you to be here with us live in this session. And for anyone who's watching the recording of this, I hope it's been helpful for you as well. We will once again post a link to this video in the Community TA Resource Center so that we can have that conversation, start a thread kind of following up on any issues here, and then we'll also start a new thread looking forward to the next session. We can kind of organize our thoughts there. So Ankit, Dipanjana, Jose, Real, Sonal, thank you so much for coming here today, and look forward to talking with you again next month.
See ya.
Bye, folks.